Rev Banks, the floor is yours. God bless you. Rev Kay Banks, beloved.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to thank Reverend Jones, Reverend Tuff, and to the panel also. What I'm going to talk to you about, I'm going to try because I believe he did some of my statistics, so we don't have to go into that. So thanks a lot. He did that, so we won't go into that. But we're going to talk about the poverty in the black communities and where it involves the black churches. And from my understanding, we're trying to paint a picture here as to what the black churches can do that can help those in poverty. Because so many times we feel that that's theirs and this is ours. And we are the black churches, so we're here in the walls. So we want to talk about, first of all, some things that I jotted down: the future of the black church, prophetic versus poverty. The term of the black church has been used as an attempt to simplify an effect of inclusivity. However, it has been in the inverse effect, especially in the world of academia. Now, I recognize that the term black church has the potential to negate the diversity of the culture and the worship styles among people of African descent. Nonetheless, I would like to use the term for the sake of argument that it serves as a synonym with the churches, where the congregation is predominantly composed of members of the African diaspora. It is my impression that the black churches has declined in the mission, the mandate, and the ministry to fulfill God's purpose for society. I strongly believe that the black church should serve as a spiritual, social, cultural, political, educational, economic advocate for all people. At first glance, the future of the black church can seem quite bleak. However, there is a bomb in Gilead. Mm-hmm. Now, when the black church finds a balance between academia and the anointing, then it will be in a position to successfully operate as an institution for prophetic preaching, transformation of teaching, meaningful mission work, wholesome worship, and effective evangelism. The black church will then be inclusive by nature and sensitive to the needs of the congregants and their social complexities. Christian education will serve as a foundation component to all that the black church does. And the worship experience will be, in fact, the nurturing and the developing experience for all who attend. While some see the black church currently as an opiate for the people, I strongly believe that it will one day become the organism for opportunity for all people. And when we talk about the black churches as far as being that particular, I guess, the outcome, or, you know, it's an outlook for people and for the young people, for the elderly, for the middle class, and we talk about the poverty. And we're not putting the blame on the black churches, but in my opening statement, I did mention that the churches they've lost some of what their mission is all about. And we have a lot of the mega churches where they have a large congregation, and in some of the congregations, there's nothing wrong with a large congregation, don't get me wrong. But in some of the congregations, the people are known as a number. And we can have people that are perhaps hurting in the congregation, poverty-stricken. Some we don't know when they leave their homes and they come to a church and they sit in the tents and they sit where they're comfortable in a pew. That might be the only comfortable seat that they've sat in months. So they come and they sit and they listen. And then while they're listening, they'll think about the fact of, why this can't be me? Why is it the next person? Why am I like this? What happened? I'm sitting right next to someone who perhaps they have a house on the hill. They have everything. They have a good job. They have children that have gone to college, going to college in private schools. But then you have the person sitting right next to them that are living beneath the privilege that God would like for them to be. But we're comfortable with that. We don't see any problem with it. We perhaps look at them come in and we'll say to ourselves, what's wrong with them? Why don't they pick up their game? You know, but then we're looking as if to say, this is the problem with them. And we as the people, the Christians, the leadership, we have fallen in our duties. And as time goes on, we perhaps with technology, with all of the modern things that we can have, we want all the latest of everything. But then when we look around, and I'm not saying you're going to take food out of your children's mouth to put in the next child's mouth, but then as a black family, how it used to be years ago, how it used to be, I would say 50, 60 years ago, some before my time. But I'm pretty sure when you read the books, when you read the history books, when you read the things that have gone on in the churches, we saw where the church came together as a family. You know, if so-and-so was hurting, then we're hurting too.
Amen.
If this person needed food, then we were there to help them to give food. You know, if the baby needed milk, we would all get together and try to, you know, have the outlets that this parent would have. And as was stated prior to me, where the poverty level, it does affect the violence. It affects, one thing is interrelated with the next. And in poverty, when we have children that can't go to school, they can't go to college because they don't have the money, they don't have the finances, but then they sit and they go to church every Sunday, they go to church every Wednesday, they're there when the doors open, they're there for the youth services, they're there for choir rehearsals, and they're doing everything that they feel biblically that they should do, that they're taught. So they're still standing on the faith, they're still standing on that one day that we're going to rise up above this. But then where is the hope with the churches? What are we doing to continue to give them that hope? We stand on Sundays and we stand during the week and we'll start preaching prosperity. We'll preach that you can do this, you can do that. But sometimes, you know, I can show you better than I can tell you. So we have to get out there, roll up our sleeves and do the things that we can do with the community, because we have the young people, they're hurting, the young people, and this is where the poverty comes in at. This is where the gun violence comes in at, because they're from homes sometimes where they have nothing, they have no place to go, they have no place to turn to. They don't even have where the parents or the people that are surrounding them, that they have the education to even sit down and hold a decent conversation with them. They'd rather throw them an iPad, they'd rather throw them a cell phone or throw them a game or Xbox so they can play these things. In this way, because of the lack of knowledge that they have, this way we can send them off and give them that hope, because they're holding on to material things for their hope. They're holding on to what the next person has. So they feel, if I have this, this is my hope. But when those things start to fail them, where do they go? And I'm reminded of, it's a little, I'm going to paint a little picture for you of a little fisher boy. He was he was ready to go on this fishing trip, and he was prepped up in his blue jeans, and he had them turned up, and then he had his little fishing pole, and, you know, made out of cane or whatever, you know, he made it out of. And he went and he sat on the dock. And when he sat on the dock, he was all prepared, and I'm sure he took all week making preparation. And you know, we take all Sundays, all week, from one week to the next, from 1 month to the next month, preparing for this program, this anniversary, that anniversary. We do all this preparation, and then we sit on the dock. And what happened? He sat on the dock, and now he's sitting there with the coolness and the calmness of the water. And when he launched his pole out, and he had the fishing, you know, with the worms and everything, the bait that he had on the pole. And when he threw it out, he sat there all comfortably, because he knew something was going to happen. And he expected it. This was anticipation. And he sat there and he sat there. And then the people around him started to laugh. And he's looking around, why are they laughing? And he didn't realize that there was an open milk bottle at the bottom of the water. And it sat at the bottom of the water, and when he threw his pole out, that's where the bait went in. It went in the bottle. It was at the bottom. The fish was all around the bottle, swimming around, looking at the worms, but they couldn't get to it. And that's what we do in our churches and in our places. We sit within our walls, and we have the people on the outside. They're in poverty, they're in bad health, they have no education, and they're sitting there and they're looking, they're trying to get in. But we sit there in our comfort zone because we've already launched our poles, and we launched them into the bottom of an open bottle, and they're just sitting there, and nobody can reach them, and we can't even reach out to them. But we're sitting there because we don't even know what's going on. Because we're in our churches, we're comfortable. We feel that we should be. We're at the level where we feel we should be. There is no other height to go to. We feel this is it. God has given us this. This is ours. And they're out there, they have to get theirs. And that's what happened. They're swimming around, out looking around, and they're in poverty. They have no way of making money. They have no way of getting money. So what do their children do? They go, they rob, they steal, they kill, they shoot. They have nothing to live for, they feel. We have kids committing suicide. I'm from a school, and I don't know if Pastor McDuffie heard that there was a senior. He committed suicide last night. This is the second one.
What school was that?
Wayne Tech.
This is the second one within a year. It was like 8 months. The second one that committed suicide. And what are we doing? We have the staff, they're wondering, where did we miss this? How did we not see this? But we're talking 1,000 of children. You can't zero in on everyone, but if you take one of us,
that's right,
and we're attached to 5, do you realize what that can do?
Right.
We can show that we care. We can show them some kind of concern. And then we look at, and we assume, because we have these large churches, we assume that the people are well equipped to do what they have to do. But they're not. They sit and they hide between people. They hide in the back of people. They don't know what's going on. They don't know. All they know that I'm connected with a mega church. And we have to understand, we have to realize there are some things that we have to do, because religiosity just won't get it. We have to really get in, be sensitive to the Spirit. We have to understand. And I'm reminded of the book, in the book of Judges, with Deborah. What did she do? She sat under the tent. She sat under the tree. And she was there. She was interceding for her people. When people had their problems, they had their troubles, when they came to her, she was there ready. She would roll up her sleeves. She would hear what they had to do, because there were some unjust people around. And we have to be the person, the go-between for the injustice that's going on in the world. We can't cover it all. But what we can do, we need to try to do it, because we need to be that interruption. We need to be the one that's going to interrupt some stuff. And we're going to pray about this. I'm going to pray about that. I'm going to pray about this. But you know, prayer without action, what is it? It's dead. It's no good. It's okay to pray. That we get to the point where we're going to pray and we sit all pious, and we don't even want to go down on our knees anymore to pray. Because we might mess up ourselves. We might mess up our clothes. We might mess up our hair, mess up our suits and things. But we have to do these things. We have to, in order to reach our community, in order to reach our people, in order to make a difference. We have to interrupt some stuff. And I'll ask you the question, when is the last time that you interrupted some stuff?
Come on, preacher. Come on.
We don't have to do it where things are so devastating, and they look at you with a bad name. They look at you because, look at her, the troublemaker. Okay, well, I'm going to make some trouble. I'm going to make some trouble for God. I'm going to make some trouble for the right thing. I'm going to make some trouble that somebody's child can eat a meal today. I'm going to make some trouble that I can help somebody to get a job. I'm going to make some trouble where I'm going to intercede, where some of the politicians would probably rise up and look around without fighting one another. We need to go into the community, be there for the people, not about the levels, how high we can go, what type of power that we have. If you have power, don't underestimate my power. If you have some power, but then it's only the power of God that's going to move some stuff, and that's going to make some stuff happen. So that's what I like to leave for you. this afternoon, be that interruption. Be the person that's going to stir up some stuff. Be that person where somebody can look and say that I have hope because I know where my hope lies.